Hello, you're back with Beatle. We are back on Archero. Today I will be going through my top 5 tips and tricks in order to succeed in the game whilst playing through the hero game Abandoned Dungeon. First off, I'll just sort of show you exactly who I'm using and why. So I'll be using Tyrannus. Here he is. He has the added lightning effect onto his attacks. I think Helix is also good, but I don't really like my HP getting too low, so I stick with Tyrannus for now. And obviously I'll be using the Demon Blade as I've highlighted in one of my other videos, and here's the Noxian statue as well, which is the epic dragon statue. And now we'll just jump straight into the Abandoned Dungeon. Tip number 1 is picking the right skills and upgrades as you progress through the game. So not all skills are born equal, and there are certainly some that are better than others. My general rule of thumb on this is to keep it simple. Attack damage increase, attack speed increase, the multi-shot diagonal arrows, they are all the S tier upgrades which you probably want to focus on. There are some that look fancy, increasing attack speed every now and again, blazing shots and those sort of things. I would say they're only if you need to get them, otherwise stick with the S tier. Keep the damage output of your character nice and high, and that will certainly help you as you progress through the game. I would also add, just to avoid any upgrade that gives your weapon a touch upgrade, so the Holy Touch Blazing Shot, especially if you're using a character like Tyrannus where you already have the inherited lightning effect, as other ones would probably just be redundant and better spent elsewhere. My last point on picking the right skills and upgrades is that the shadow clones can be very handy. So there are indeed upgrades called shadow clone that you can get one-eyed bats, you can get samurai warriors. All of these spawn sort of additional creatures that would help you in battle, and they fire automatically on the enemies. They're especially useful as you get later down the line and there's a lot of projectiles, a lot of enemies on the screen, and you need to keep moving in order to evade attacks. There is at least people or things on screen doing the damage for you, so I highly recommend you checking those out, as they can be very helpful. Tip number 2 is ensuring that your loadout is as best as possible, and by loadout I mean the equipment that you use, the weapons that you use, and your hero. So let's start with equipment. What equipment should you use? Generally you want to have the highest rarity of equipment, so ideally purple or better. Each piece of equipment also comes with its own attribute, so it's important to get the one that you think will benefit your playstyle and the level that you're trying to do most, i.e. there are some pieces of equipment that increase damage to bosses, and if you're playing one of the stages that is a pure boss stage, then those pieces of equipment would be most beneficial. Others have frontal damage resistance, they have ground unit resistance, they have air unit resistance. Depending on the level and your playstyle, etc., there's certainly some attributes that are better than others, so just make sure that you are picking what you think is the correct one. Within the equipment you can also attach 2 pets to your loadout, and I would highly recommend doing so and try and get the best 2 pets that you can. They are extremely handy, similar to how if you get enough shadow clones you get enough things doing damage when you're moving. Pets are just sort of better equipped than the clones, that they do more damage and they can really help you out. You get some that focus on attacks or some that can do some healing. Make sure that you have a look and equip the ones that are best played for your playstyle. Also worth noting that each piece of equipment can have embedded gems that provide buffs to them. I think this is a relatively new addition to Archero, but make sure when you click on each weapon you can embed different crystals. You can upgrade the crystals, and they do provide buffs for each piece of equipment, so make sure that you are doing that. My last point on equipment is utilising the dragon statues that you can get. So I have an epic Noxian statue, and as you'll see here, there it is, sort of destroys everything on the screen and can be very helpful in some sticky situations. But there are many different statues, each can have different effects, so play around and pick the one that is best for you. Mine is a sort of a sick beam that poisons enemies as well as dealing damage. Moving on to picking the right weapons. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that I do use the Demon Blade. I also showed that at the beginning of this video. Demon Blade for me is the best weapon, but there are many others, so do feel free to do some sort of trial and experimentation, see what conclusion you come to. But for me, Demon Blade is the best all-round weapon. Good long range and close range. It has an effect where you can't take damage, and it does sort of a higher damage shot slice with his sword. For me it just seems to work out the best, so that is the one I use. Lastly, it's important to pick the right hero. For me, I use Tyrannus. He has the automatic lightning effect, whereas there are others that have various different effects which may be better for your playstyle. I know Helix, the one I said at the start, does a lot more damage when you're lower HP, but for me I just prefer to be able to try and keep the higher HP as possible, and having the lightning effect from stage 1, which I really like. But there certainly are others which can be useful, and obviously if you want to pay for even more powerful heroes, then you can do, but to be honest, for me it is absolutely fine, and he is my choice. Tip number 3 from me would be consistency. So coins and gems are very hard to come by in this game, so being consistent with logging in, claiming your daily rewards, weekly rewards, whatever it may be, is the best way in order to build up your coins and gems over time. And obviously from there you can use those in order to upgrade your character, upgrade your equipment, get new skills, etc. And that's one of the best ways to make sure that you are leveling up your character and being able to keep up with the scaling of difficulty in the chapters. I'd also add to this point that it's important that you utilize your coins and gems wisely, as they are hard to come by. So even though you've got them, make sure that you are upgrading the right things when you need them. For example, if you're upgrading your hero, don't upgrade all your heroes evenly. You pretty much always just use one hero. There are some events where more heroes can be used, but generally you just want one very strong hero, potentially 2 if you want to use different heroes as well, but ideally pretty much get one hero leveled up as much as you can, and he or she would be your main hero to use throughout the chapters. Tip number 4 would be to utilize the environment to your advantage. So obviously each stage can have different walls, different blocks, it can have water, and each of the enemies can jump, they can fly, they can fire projectiles that some can pass through walls, some can't. So it's important to learn what enemies do what projectiles they fire, how often, etc., and if they can pass through walls or not. With that information, you're then able to utilize your environment to your advantage, avoiding attacks when you can. Tip number 5 would be to learn the reload pattern of your hero. Now what I mean by that is, I've just overlaid another video, is every time you shoot you can then move, but when you're moving your character is actually reloading. So you can shoot, move, reload, and you fire just as quick as if you were to stand still, especially once rounds get a bit more hectic. That is very important in order to make the most of your own firing ability while still being able to evade all the projectiles that can be on the screen. So there we have it. There's my 5 top tips and tricks in order to help get you through Archero. I hope they've been helpful, but there we have it. Chapter 3 of Hero Mode is complete, and we're on to the Crystal Mines. If there are any additional tips or tricks you would like to let me know of, please do put those in the comments below. But if you have enjoyed the video, if you have found it helpful, please do like or subscribe. That would be much appreciated, and I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks a lot.